All right, welcome to No Judgment Zone Hot Shots, where I will touch on a couple of things that I might have seen during the week or just something really quick that might need some clarity because, the problem today is we have a lot of people saying things without knowledge, especially within the Christian community. So, we want to offer some clarity, some insight, or just some understanding on some of these prevalent misconceptions, right? So, one thing I came across as I'm looking through the comment section of some people's posts, um, one was about basically this particular pastor. Apparently, he's a pastor. His ascension into the church and how it took him, just a few years, literally, to get into position versus whatever the trial was of their church to become a pastor or what have you. And so, not going to really touch on that particular post, but more so of a comment that somebody made. Now, the comment that was made was, um, did he go through seminary to get truly discipled? So that was a question from somebody on the post in the comment section. And right away, it just kind of made me just kind of made me chuckle because I'm like, man, people really still think this today. People in the religious organization, really think that you need some type of acclimate to serve in the kingdom. Um, and that's just not true. There's no way that's true. And so let's look at just briefly what Jesus said. Always remember this. Whenever you want to know something, whenever you're trying to figure something out, whenever you're trying to find some kind of example, you always look to the life of Jesus. You always look to what he says, right? And so if you do that, you're going to save yourself a lot of time trying to think of the solution or, or what you should do, right? Jesus is the big bro. He is the firstborn from amongst the dead. That is who we look up to. All the Christian faith is surrounded in the life of Jesus Christ, in his words, his teachings, and who he is as the example for us, right? Okay, so I always reference this, okay? Because some people would probably say and ask me the same thing. Hey, do you have a doctrine in this? Did you go to seminary? Did you, have some did you have some kind of training courses or whatnot, so that they could feel like, I'm validated, right? I always take them to John 15, verse 16. Let's read. Jesus said, "Now I call you not my servants, for the servant knows not what his Lord does. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you." Verse 16, "You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give unto you." That is my ordination paper, is the fact that Jesus chose me. I did not choose him. Okay, so just in that alone, Jesus isn't putting anybody through no school, not no natural school. as the disciples followed Jesus, that is when Jesus taught them. When he first came across Peter and the boys, while they were tending to their nets at the boats and whatnot, he simply said, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." That's what he said. Now, the Bible doesn't record this at all, but it didn't seem like there was any debate in that. They didn't question Jesus. They didn't say, well, who are you first and foremost? They didn't say, okay, well, what's in it for us? They didn't say, well, where are we going? They didn't say, well, will we be able to return? I mean, are we going to get paid? Are we, tell us more about why we should follow you. The Bible doesn't record any of that. It says that they dropped their nets and immediately began to follow him. Always know this: true discipleship is you walking with the Lord and being taught things in real time. That's why it's important to also have an example, a godly person in your life that you are under, whether it's a pastor, some kind of spiritual leader, just somebody that's more seasoned than you. They don't even have to be the pastor. They don't have to be all these titles. They just have to be mature. They just have to be seasoned in their walk, because then they can help you out in your walk. Very simple. In doing that, you just simply begin to be taught as you go. Notice every time they encountered a situation or they were coming against Jesus, or he was teaching and people would ask questions, he would answer them. He would let them know. He would use illustrations and parables and different things to give them the teaching, to let them know, hey, this is what the kingdom is like. So we get this thing in increments. We don't get the totality of all of this stuff. We learn as we go, in simple words. That's true discipleship. That's why I thank God for the men of God in my life, that specifically my pastor, because, we have a very close relationship, and we pretty much grew in the ministry together to a degree. I spent many years, even to this day, just watching him, seeing how he conducted himself in certain situations towards people, just how he would handle himself. And he was a godly example to me. So it taught me, not only did I have the scriptures, but I also had an example. A live example. God's not foolish. He's not stupid. He knows we need a live example. He knows we need somebody that we could kind of, watch this thing play out. Obviously, Jesus is our prime example, and that's who we, try to be like. That is the goal for our walk in the Christian faith, is to be more like Christ. Paul said, "Follow me as I follow Christ." So he was also letting the church know, hey man, do the things you see me doing, because these are the things that Jesus did, and this is who I'm emulating. This is who I'm becoming like. So if you want to know what's up, follow me. See, some of y'all might not even be getting that, but back to my point. Being called, being chosen has nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with what Jesus gave to you and what purpose he gave to you, what gifts and callings he gave to you. We as the church have to learn what those things are. Man does not dictate that. That's what religion has taught. Religion has taught, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to go here, you need to get a doctorate in this, you need to do, this church won't let you pastor because you need to go through 10 years of seminary and it's all religious stuff. So you learn religion, but you don't have a relationship with Jesus. You don't know nothing about your calling. I've heard Christians talk about, oh, I want to be a pastor, and they're not called to pastor. You don't sign up for a gift. You don't train for a gift. A gift is a gift. You already have it. 9 out of 10, you've already been using it. You don't necessarily become something. That's not how the kingdom works. Jesus gave gifts unto all men, as the scripture says. He gave some to be this, he gave some to be that, et cetera, right? So we have to understand and start getting out of this religious mindset that if you don't have a doctrine in something or a master's or some kind of certificate in something, that you're not validated or that you're not legit. Our legitimacy comes from Christ, comes from how we skillfully use the word and how our conduct is amongst others. That is how you know if Jesus is truly with us or not. Lastly, the disciples, after Jesus ascended, they began to preach, right? They began to gain numbers. The Sanhedrin Council snatched them up, and they threw them in jail. And hey, man, you cannot preach Christ. You can't be doing this or this and that. And finally, somebody wised up and they said, hey, we can't come against this if it's truly from God, because we might find ourselves fighting against God. And notice that they noted them. They said that they were unlearned men, the disciples were, and that they knew that they had been with Jesus. So there was evidence of, hey man, this looks familiar. Who are these nobodies? But all of a sudden are talking like this guy who was just crucified. There's a lot of similarities between him and them. They must have been with Jesus. So growing, learning, speaking like, being like, confirmation of gifts and callings, it's all based on your relationship with Jesus Christ. Jesus validates you. Not man, not a title, not a certificate, none of that. Not even Paul had to jump through the religious hoops to become who he became. Nobody did. There was no schools. Go read the book of Acts. There was no school. There was no seminary. There was none of it. It was the Spirit of God. That's who taught you. Being in fellowship, being in prayer, being around seasoned people, that's what raises you up. Not all this nonsense that we like to hang on to. So be encouraged in that for those who feel a little less than and feel like they can't move because, pastors telling them they got to sit down and wait till they do this and go through all these hoops. Nah, man, that is religious. If you know that God's called you to go forth, you should go forth. Obviously, we already know order and, making sure you're doctrinally sound and all. We're not talking about you not having those things. We're talking about those who have it and that want to go forth. You don't need validation from man to tell you that. You know in your spirit. Everything else, nonsense, not biblical. You can't tell me I need to go to seminary anywhere in the Bible. You can't tell me that. You can't find it. So be encouraged out there. God has called you. Stay getting discipled. Get around people that know more than you, okay? That are more seasoned, that can help you, walk with you, not just preach at you, but really walk with you through life. because that's how you'll grow in real time. So be blessed. Appreciate it. Until the next time, peace.